Hi there. In this video, I want to show you how to graph a function using a table of values. So we've got a function here, y equals x squared, and we're going to graph that using a table of values. An interesting thing about this function, y equals x squared, is that is the function for a basic parabola. So pay attention because we're going to be using the basic parabola a lot when we do transformations. So the first thing that you want to do when you're setting up a table of values is give yourself some rows and columns. So we're going to put x values in this column, and then we will figure out what y would equal when x is that certain value. Later on, we'll explain how to figure out what x values to use. But in examples like this, we can just use 2, 1, 0, -1, and -2. So I'll start with 2. So if x equals 2, then I'll input 2 where the x would be in the formula. So the formula for the function right here, where x is, I'm going to put 2. And then I'll solve for y. So 2 squared is 4, so that means that when x equals 2, y is going to be 4. And I'll do the same thing for when x equals 1. Again, put that into the equation. And so 1 squared is 1. So when x equals 1, y would equal 1. And then what about when x equals 0? So 0 squared is 0. What about -1? So -1 squared is 1. And then what about when x is -2? So when x is -2, -2 squared is 4. So these are basically the coordinates for points that you can put on your graph. So you don't have to do this, but you could have another column that lays out what the xy coordinates are, kind of in a neater way. So the xy coordinates for this point would be 2 and 4. So I'm taking just the 2 from the x and then the 4 that we calculated. 1 and 1, 0 and 0, -1 and 1, and then -2 and 4. So that's using the table of values to figure out those points, and then we can put those points onto the graph. So I'm going to put them into active plot here. So I've got active plot, and I can input directly onto the graph, or I could use the setting on the side, the table there. So for this one, I'll just put them straight onto the graph, and I'm going to click that paintbrush and then the paintbrush option there. And I'll put the first point, so 2 and 4. So 2 and 4 right there. 1 and 1. 0 and 0. -1 and 1. And then -2 and 4. So you can see my points there. And then I'll join them. So that's what the basic parabola looks like. And you can see that the vertex is the 0, 0. And then the axis of symmetry, that's where, like, kind of the mirror between the two sides, that's x equals 0. Now you'll notice with this parabola, it's very nice. It's symmetrical on both sides, and all parabolas would be like that, but they won't be if you pick x values that aren't centered on the vertex. So because we picked x equals 0, and then went 2 up and 2 down from that, we get this beautiful symmetrical parabola. Say I had picked -1, -2, -3, -4, I wouldn't get that same look. So that's where figuring out what x values to use is important, and we'll talk about that in future videos. All right, thank you very much. Miigwech.